2021 Pirelli Gt4 America season that started back in March in California wine country is now racing towards its conclusion with one final 60-minute sprint here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Getting ready to wrap up the season with one race remaining. All championships have been decided, so now just time to go for the glory at the famed Brickyard. Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. Amanda Busick is in the pit lane, and it is a pleasure to have your company for the final race of the season in Pirelli Gt4 America. Cars on the first of two formation laps, Calvin, and we saw yesterday this track and the GT4 cars. What a great combination.
It really is. It's so raceable, so much side-by-side action you can see, but today the side-by-side will be thwarted a little bit by this drying racetrack. I think everyone should be on slicks based on what we saw in a TC race that literally checkered flag here just a few minutes ago, but you never know. You've got to have an eye looking at the sky to see if there's any further rain going to hit this racetrack before the checkered flag. 60-minute race, mandatory pit stop between 25 and 35 minutes in today.
And an interesting grid, which we'll touch on in just a moment. But first, the venue. Of course, the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but this is the road course, runs counter direction to the famous oval and a slightly different configuration than what we raced with last time, Cal.
Yeah, just under 2.6 miles, 14 turns, but as you go through and complete that first sector, the green line there, you can see it kind of twists and turns a little bit more than it did last year. So that's really going to put a lot more emphasis on the handling and the change of direction of these race cars. Straightaway speed is always important here, down the front stretch, of course, and then as you start sector 2 there, that orange stripe, that's Holman Boulevard, and that's really a prime overtaking opportunity down into that next corner, which is turn 7. Lovely flow and rhythm as you complete sector 2 and into sector 3.
What a great track layout this one is, and it's put on some good racing throughout the weekend. We have the threat of rain to deal with before it's all said and done as well. Hopefully, though, it stays dry. However, these cars and drivers, they did see some wet running earlier in the weekend when rain came during their test session. Let's go through the starting grid. At Valentin Hasseclos, the young Frenchman, Aston Martin Jr. starts on pole in just his second race ever in the series, was impressive on debut yesterday. John Capestre-Dubets of Autotechnic Racing alongside, then GMG Racing's Andrew Davis, Tom Dyer from Stephen Cameron Racing, Row 3, Spencer Pompelli of the Racers Group, and Bill Oberlin from Bimmer World Racing. Row number 4 belongs to Guy Cosmo from Rintec Motorsports, and the Noah Sport Porsche, the champion-elect, Jason Hart and Matt Travis. Kyle Marcelli starts in the 9th spot. He'll have Colin Mullen, the winner yesterday, along with Mackay Stevens to his outside. John Miller and John Jesbray make up row number 6. Now we go back to row 7. Cole Corallo, CCR Racing, Team TFB, and Ian James driving for Heart of Racing. Christian Shimshak, he and Kenny Murillo have clinched the silver championship. They'll roll off all the way back in 15th with Ryan Dexter of Dexter Racing next to him. Toby Grahovic starts in the 17th spot for Classic BMW. Stephen McAleer qualified that car on pole yesterday and was rapid. He'll have Nick Galante to his flank. Sean Gibbons and Matt Forbush make up row 10. Row 11, Ty Isaac and John Barry. Paul Keebler and Todd Hetherington in row 12, while the B-Sport racing car of Kenton Cook starts at the back alongside Al Carter from Random Vandals Racing. Here comes the field onto the front straightaway at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The French driver, Valentin Hasseclos, accelerates away and grabs the lead, but it's a three-way battle for second. 5 cars fanning out down this front straightaway, which will quickly funnel in to a tight turn 1.
It's going to be tight there. That car down at the inside is Andrew Davis aboard the GMG Aston Martin. To his outside in the orange and blue car is Tom Dyer filling in for Greg Leafouche here this weekend.
Big move from a number of these competitors side by side here. Porsche's going at it a little bit further back. That is Jason Hart on the outside, a winner in Pro-Am yesterday. Look at Hasseclos, though. He has gone, accelerating away in the WR Racing car.
He has, and John Capestre-Dubets from the front row is going backwards right now, feeling the heat from Bill Oberlin as they head through that tight turn 6.
Keep an eye on this silver Mercedes here. Colin Mullen driving. He and Mackay Stevens were rapid yesterday, driving to the front and staying there once they got there. That's one of the silver class cars.
Yeah, looking for their 4th consecutive victory. Swept at Sebring, one race won here yesterday. What a finish to the season since their debut. Middle of the year, they've been competitive every single weekend. 6 out of 7 podiums on the year.
Challenge is on here for second. Dyer with that great start. He's got Davis right behind. And throughout this field, it looks like there are battles everywhere you look through. This run into the infield for the first time, turns 12 and 13.
As the glow is just taken off here, Dyer trying to defend here from Andrew Davis. JCD, John Capestro de Betz, seems to be finding his rhythm now despite having a pretty poor first half lap.
He should have gotten some good information. His co-driver Tom Capizzi was just on track in the TC America race and should be able to give some idea of what kind of grip is available in these wet but drying conditions. Pretty well dry online right now, but where Andrew Davis is trying to make that pass, you can see a little spray coming off of these race cars still.
Look at Oberlin, tries to take advantage there. Davis was right in the wheel tracks of JCD, couldn't make the move. Bill was able to roll a little bit more speed coming from that dry line. The 66 car, that's the TRG entry. Spencer Pompelli behind the wheel, currently running in the 6th position. Jason Hart there in the mix as well aboard the yellow, white and black Porsche Cayman. Right there you see him. They grabbed their 8th win of the year here yesterday, sealed the championship title at Sebring. Just looking for more glory here today.
Now, a remarkable season for that duo. Looked like Colin Mullen was getting a bit racy, chasing down Hart. He's going to take that move to the inside. That's the silver Mercedes looking to the inside of the Porsche Cayman just ahead. Couldn't make the pass that time, and that brings now him under some pressure. He's got Kyle Marcelli right behind him, Guy Cosmo behind Marcelli. A couple of Mercedes, really 3 of them running in lockstep, 2 of which come out of the Rentec Motorsports stable, but it's the Conquest Mercedes that leads that trio.
Yeah, you see a real dry racing line now, so it's going to make it really difficult to make a move down on the inside, because you're going to be typically on the damper part of the racetrack. That should make it a little bit easier to defend, even if you're on the back foot a little bit in terms of your pace.
AM leader John Jesbray, he's the champion-elect as well in that class, along with Kevin Conway. They were winners yesterday, which keeps their streak alive of winning at every track on the calendar at least once throughout the course of this 2021 season.
The 11 car there of Toby Grahovic. They're still in the mix to maybe grab second place in the championship standings. It's awfully tight coming in. They've got to make up 8 points here today.
Nice move, Bill Oberlin, able to get around Davis there. Davis has dropped a couple of spots over the last lap or so. Looks like it's Hart working on Spencer Pompelli. Much different livery than we're used to seeing on the number 66 car that he shares with Derek DeBoer. Good to have them back after heavy damage, and a crash at Watkins Glen caused them to sit out the race at Sebring.
Yeah, that was a big hit they took at the Glen, so great to see them back for this final round of the championship season. Lots of really fast cars, lots of really fast drivers with the Pro-Am combinations. It's the pros who start here today, so expect them to go deep into this race, deep into that pit stop window.
Looks like Kyle Marcelli might be the man on the move. He's made it around Colin Mullen, the overall winner just 1 day ago, and the Canadian driver who's been a champion before in GT4 machinery, starting to reel in Jason Hart in that Porsche just ahead.
Well, typically you see a delta on a drying racetrack between wet and slick shod race cars. I believe that everyone started on slicks here today, so then it comes down to what setup did you put underneath the race car in terms of, did you think it's going to be damp and more compliant, you could run a softer setup, or did you go for a stiffer setup expecting this track to go completely dry? Hart there really working over Pompelli there as he came through that final sector of the racetrack.
Looked like he was trying that crossover move from turn 12 into turn 13. We'll wait and see if he made it stick, but it's Tom Dyer who is under duress with John Capestro Dubets running in second. That forces Dyer on the defensive down the front straightaway. Here comes JCD, the red Auto Technic BMW. Can't get up alongside, but boy, that was close.
It really was for Tom Dyer. He doesn't have a ton of seat time in BMW, certainly a great little driver, but he's been drafted in at the last moment. Greg Leofus, who typically drives this car, had a training accident, broke his shoulder this week, his collarbone, I believe, so he's out. So Sean Quinlan really wanted to try and maximize the results, looked at who was available, and Tom was the man that was chosen. But he's in a fierce battle right now. You can notice a little bit more understeer with that orange and green, orange and blue Cameron Racing BMW as he kind of tries to cut these corners.
I know that it's got to be killing Greg not to be in the race car. We wish you a speedy recovery. His co-driver for the bulk of the season, Sean Quinlan, watching his new co-driver, Tom Dyer, on track, is standing by with Amanda.
Well, as the battle on track exists, as we reminded at the top of the show, it's the battle of points as well. Second or third in the points is going to go to this team or to that B Sport Aston Martin. Kenton Cook already making his way up through the field, but what gives your team the advantage here today?
Well, obviously having us start near the front rather than Kenton starting at the back, but you know the Aston is very fast, so and Kenton's fast, so I expect he will get close. But if I can get in the car before Brian, I think we can pull it off.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, thanks.
Good to hear from Sean, a guy who's really come a long way over the last few seasons. 2019 champion in the Pro-Am class in Pirelli Gt4 America. But we heard reference to Kenton Cook having to start in the back, that B Sport Racing Aston. That was the case yesterday, too. A very minor technical infringement after qualifying, Calvin, that has major implications.
Yeah, there's a bunch of checks that are done post-qualifying, and their ride height was 1 millimeter, which is a really small amount too low. But unfortunately, what that does is ding you in both of the rounds of qualifying, because that car essentially would have been out of compliance for both of those. So big drive yesterday. Started at the back, came all the way through for a P2 finish. That was a monster run for Brian Putt and Kenton Cook. They need to do the same thing today because it's really tight in the points. The 15 car of Brian Putt and Cook only have a 3-point swing right now over the 119, and they're deep in the top 10 as Dyer is running towards the front.
Now, Kenton Cook, though, has done a nice job moving forward, currently running 12th overall, 10th in class. They started 25th, so that's up 13 spots in just 8 minutes. So Kenton Cook is a man on a move, and then it will be Brian Putt's job to finish this off after the pit stop, which comes up right around the halfway mark.
And his lap times are just a couple of cents. There he is, cutting his way through turn 7. Looking for another move here. This is not for a class position. As Gisbray right in front of him, who's had a tremendous season himself. Young man, super impressive, winning the AM title with Kevin Conway. That team has done a great job, but they're looking to step it up next year into one of these Pro-Am or silver category machines or classes. So this is really testing the waters here today to see how high they can run.
Gisbray keeps his head on a swivel there. Kenton Cook able to throw it up the inside in turn 12, grab that spot. That is not a class position change, but it is an overall position change. 11th overall now for Kenton Cook as John Gisbray continues to lead in the AM class. A quick update on a car in strife. The number 7 entry from NOLA Sport, that's Sean Gibbons and Sam Owen, has pulled that car behind the wall down through Gasoline Alley and back to the garage area here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The battle for second, though, heating up at the front of the field. These are all Pro-Am cars fighting for class position. Tom Dyer, John Capestro-Dubets, and Bill Oberlin all running right together.
Oberlin just set the fastest lap of the race at 1:44.8, so he's carved about half a second out of that gap to the cars right in front of him. So Dyer may be the cork in the bottle here a little bit as he's trying to hang on and maximize that track position before he turns it over to Sean Quinlan.
Oberlin was the fastest man on track that last time around and set the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race, some 2/10 quicker than the overall leader, Valentin Hasse-Klo, who is 4.5 seconds ahead of this battle. Andrew Davis lurking in the background at the GMG Racing Aston Martin just behind this trio of BMWs. No change in position, but Bill Oberlin certainly hungry, and you know, Calvin, he does not like having other BMWs in front of him.
No, he doesn't. He hates to lose period, particularly if there's a badge with the BMW emblem there on the front of it. So he's going to dig deep here and trying to get to the front.
3 M4s running line astern. News in recent weeks from BMW that a new iteration of the M4 GT4 is due in just over a year's time. The 2023 season is the target there. The Old Faithful has been strong all season long, and that continues here at Indianapolis, currently holding down positions 2, 3, and 4 overall, with a couple of Astons on either side.
Andrew Davis trying to hang in the shadows of this trio of BMWs. Dyer deep on the brakes there, squirming around probably in the ABS a little bit there, runs a little bit wide on exit. This is going to give JCD the run. Dyer's trying to protect there, and you're running in the middle of the road where it's not as dry, so it's going to compromise your braking efficiency there and the amount of grip you have to work with.
This is the difference in the track layout from when we were here a year ago. This dive to the right into turns 5, 6, and 6A. Instead, they would have been making a quick left to the top of the screen and then an immediate right, that quick chicane. That's what was utilized last year. Instead, it's this loop, and it seems to be very well received, especially by the Mercedes and Aston Martin camps. A little bit less so out of the BMW side of things, just with the way those cars handle in some of those long duration corners. But the BMW does get the power down nicely, which is very helpful into this part of the racetrack.
Yeah, certainly the BMW is probably not the best in terms of change of direction, so when those corners keep switching back on you, probably not going to carve as well as the Mercedes and some of the other platforms. But as you said, they do have good torque coming off that very important turn 6A onto the Holman Boulevard. So I don't think there's really much of a gain there for those other marks that are hoping there would be a bit more of a delta.
Called attention to Kyle Marcelli earlier. He's driving the blue Mercedes at the center of the screen, but he's got company. Kenton Cook made that pass a few moments ago on John Jesbray, and that's allowed him now to run free lap times over the last lap and a half. He has caught the battle ahead of him. Hart holds 7th in Pro-Am. Marcelli holds 8th. And then he's got Colin Mullen not too far behind. Mullen just made the pass on John Jesbray here recently.
Yeah, but it's still pretty impressive when you think about Jesbray running in that mix with the silver class winner from yesterday, only just getting by him.
And it's just his second year of racing anything at all. He's been a remarkably quick study under the tutelage of former NASCAR Cup Rookie of the Year, Kevin Conway. Interesting, these 3 BMWs, it's 3 different BMW prep shops. Stephen Cameron Racing, Auto Technic, and the Bimmer World team, and all running very comparable pace.
Yeah, they really are. Good little battle here between the 79 machine of Kyle Marcelli, Jason Hart. Championship winning car right there. What a consistency they have. Now we see side by side, GCD has got that run on him, and Dyer's very deep on the brakes. He's going to plow forward. JCD does the switch back. Can Oberlin go with him?
Oberlin taking a peek around the outside. It's hard to remain alongside, and he can't do it. Has to drop back in line. But that lets JCD through to try and run down VHC. Valentin Hasseclos, the young Frenchman, who leads by 5.8 seconds. Now it's the fight for third we watch in Pro-Am. Guarding to the inside in the Stephen Cameron racing car, Tom Dyer coming under pressure from the BMW maestro, Bill Oberlin.
Yeah, Oberlin plows it down to the inside. Dyer takes the line away from him. That's going to limit Bill's speed off the corner a little bit. Andrew Davis will get the run, but again, on the straightaway, the BMW should be that little bit stronger. But I think Dyer is definitely the cork in this bottle, Ryan, because now that JCD has gotten around him, he's taken off a little bit. Has allowed Davis to really catch the tail end of Oberlin at the same time.
15 minutes into this 60-minute sprint race affair. Dyer goes defensive again in the braking zone for turn 1. Oberlin trying to stay alongside. He's able to do so. Turn 2 comes back to the left. Can Oberlin take advantage? Dyer makes the outside line work, and now he has the inside line, the advantage through turn 3.
Good respect there by Dyer. He could see that Bill was down to his flank, but just good racecraft there. But you can see Dyer's car just looks a bit awkward. It doesn't seem to have the balance in it. And I think that's why he's not kind of rolling the speed of some of the other cars right now.
Dyer does have significant GT4 experience, but recently it's been in Audis. If you go back a couple of years, he raced in NSX in what was then the Pirelli World Challenge GT class. But it's been a little while, and we've not seen him with this much regularity. And it's very strange, as you said earlier, to see Tom in a BMW, but he's been a quick study, as you would expect for a driver of his caliber.
Oh, he's really quick. He kind of came up through the junior single-seater ranks, always had a lot of pace, kind of disappeared for a little bit, but fortunately for all of us, he's found his way back on a regular basis into sports car competition.
I'm going to be interested to compare what John Capestro Dubets can do compared to Valentin Hasseclos at the front of this field now that he has cleared Dyer. We'll get our first glimpse of that across the yard of bricks this next time by. Here's some race vision powered by AWS. Turn 11 is the last turn of the S's that leads back up onto the south short chute of the oval. And the top speeds there, it's all BMW.
Yeah, they're strong. It's kind of a hard acceleration point, flat out through turn 11. So again, it's going to indicate the strength and horsepower that you have. But again, it's all about how you achieve the lap time. And right now, the Aston Martin has done the best of that so far. with Hasseklo still leading by nearly 8 seconds.
This has been the driver on the move since the drop of the green. Kenton Cook moving to the outside and making the pass on Jason Hart. The car that started 25th now runs in 7th.
Incredible run. Just up on the wheel, had one focus, and that was to get this car as far forward as he possibly can, then see what Brian Putt can do. Brian's really been a great amp partner for Kenton Cook, and you know, he's certainly got the pace to try and trouble Sean Quinlan here for that runner-up position in the championship.
Now let's see what Jason Hart can do with Kyle Marcelli, not racing with the championship in mind. But back towards the front, it's back on between Dyer and Oberlin. Bill feinted to the right, came back left, and contact sends the 119 around.
Yeah, it didn't look good, did it? It's just the way that was setting up. Dyer didn't want to give it to him. Bill committed. I think he was getting frustrated by Dyer basically slowing him a little bit. But ultimately, as he get down to the apex there you see that then Sean Quinlan's not going to like that picture. Certainly Kenton Cook and Brian Putt will.
Second time looking at it, Calvin, this time in slow motion.
Well, it's big commitment from Bill Oberlin, but for Tom Dyer, he had to know that Bill was there, and he kind of went and aimed straight for the apex, so that's going to be inevitable contact. So you got to coexist. I mean, you got to think about how do we get through these corners and survive with each other. If you had to lay the blame, you'd probably put it 60% on Bill Oberlin's shoulders there, so we'll see how the stewards view that one.
Hope that car's all right. That contact happened right around the wheel well. To wonder about the wheel or certainly suspension damage, quite possibly. Again, in these GT4 America races, there is a pit stop, but it's really only intended for a driver change. Bill Oberlin off the pace now, and perhaps some damage to this car. This,
maybe right front.
Yeah, and this happens outside of the pit window, so they will still have to make their pit stop within the mandatory window coming up later. Quickly to put a bow on the regulations, you can make a tire change, a single tire change, if you can prove there is damage to the tire, and it is required for safety reasons during the window. But that does not apply to Oberlin in the situation we're looking at here. This is the pole-sitting car from yesterday, the number 11, Toby Grahovic driving now. The man who will be taking over is standing by with Amanda.
Well, normally the last day of school can be relaxing, but not for these points battles and not here for the manufacturers as well. And Steven, you're going to take over from Toby Grahovic. How do you perform better under pressure?
You know, this one's going to be quite difficult because if you look on the cameras, there's a pretty distinct dry line and a rain line. So it's going to be quite hard to pass here today. We've seen some of the front runners make some mistakes up front. So it's going to be a challenge today. We need to be a couple of cars ahead of the 22 car and have a couple of cars in between us. So it's going to be fun. You know, we'll leave it all on the line on the last one of the season. So we'll see how we get on.
To clarify, Bill Oberlin making his way down the pit lane. Message in from the stewards. Drive-through penalty, incident responsibility handed down there.
Yeah, and you can't really argue that one too much. I think Bill was frustrated, made the commitment down to the inside. I think if Tom had given him a little bit of room, they could have probably squiggled their way through the corner, but Tom was in high defense mode, didn't want to give it up.
Another position gained for Kenton Cook. That's around Spencer Pompelli. Kenton has moved up to 4th, and we talked about it some yesterday when he was hassling the Aston Martin Jr., Valentin Hasseklo, in race 1 of the weekend, that Aston should stop and take notice. Well, turns out they had, quite a while ago, in fact. They've been watching him all season long. He's part of their junior driver academy, and he's certainly a driver that Aston has something invested in to his future, and you can see why, the kind of performances he's putting on.
Yeah, just a big stint here. I mean, we're not even close to him being done. He could probably run for another 13, 14 minutes. You know he's going to go deep into this stint here when the pit stop window does open in about 4.5 minutes. So just a monster drive with the level of competition, the tricky conditions. As Stephen McAleer said, it's not easy to pass right now because if you go offline and make the move, you're on the damp part of the racetrack. So just great racecraft by Kenton Cook has been displayed here so far today.
Hasseklo has continued to be the fastest driver on the racetrack, extending the lead now to 8.8 seconds over John Capestro Dubets. Andrew Davis now runs 3rd ahead of Kenton Cook after the coming together for Bill Oberlin and Tom Dyer. So Cook from 25th now runs 4th, not just overall, but in class as well. And he's only 2.6 seconds behind the final podium spot in the class. He's done this all in just over 20 minutes.
Yeah, and just looking at John Jesbray again, I mean, just amazing performance. 8th overall, pushing right now. There you see him coming down the front stretch, right behind Jason Hart, who won that Pro-Am Championship this year. So this is what they wanted to do. If we move up a class next year, how would we perform? I think they're taking the reins off the car, off the driver, said just go for it, forget about the big picture of the championship. And this is the sort of performance we could see next year on a regular basis.
There's a bunch of big plans in store for this Smooth Racing team. They've been carrying 2 cars with them all season long, effectively to have one as a spare. And they've prepped that car. That will be running in the Indianapolis 8-hour. Jesbray, Kevin Conway, and Jack Hawksworth, the driving lineup in that machine. But their intention is to have a customer car running next year too. And all signs are they are closing in on getting that deal done.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. I really think that Toyota Supra is a really solid car. You just watch it carve through the corners. I love how flat it stays. It doesn't roll around much. Doesn't seem to have any handling problems. And certainly that's indicated by the amount of times it's visited Victory Lane this year.
Talking to a number of drivers that have driven multiple GT4 cars, and there is a sense that that Aston is pretty easy to step into, relatively speaking. And all credit to the folks at Aston putting together a well-sorted package. Here's Marcelli looking aggressive. That's that crossover move, the dive into turn 13, pulling alongside Spencer Pompelli. But Spencer has the answer. He fends him off, at least for now.
Yeah, I think it's a legit overtaking opportunity into that corner, Ryan. It's almost like you have to almost overcommit, kind of run out wide and kind of take that crossover move back from the car that you've just got inside of.
Coming up on the pit window opening, that will be just under 2 minutes from now. It stays open for 10 minutes as Jesbray takes a peek around side Jason Hart once again. How impressive, the Am Class driver giving the pro component of the Pro-Am championship winning tandem everything he can handle.
Yeah, really cool. And as I said, I think it's just, this is the true speed that this young man has. I think all season long they've probably been tempering that, just saying, listen, we've got to get those big points, we've got to seal the deal on the championship. They did that at Sebring, and that just allowed them to come to Indy here, final 2 rounds of the championship, and just say, go for it. Now you can take a bit more risk. You know, roll the dice a bit more in terms of some of the moves you make on the racetrack.
Looks like some lap traffic will enter into the mix here the next couple of laps for this group of cars. Kyle Marcelli continuing to pressure Spencer Pompelli.
Good to see that Rentec entry having a strong day. I think Marcelli is really super impressive. Won a GT4 championship here in North America last year. And been surprised that they haven't shown a bit more pace on occasion this year, but he is definitely up to the task. Really, really great driver.
And don't forget, he was a Pro-Am champion in GT3 in GT World Challenge America back in 2019. 3 wins, 9 podiums on the season, driving for Racer's Edge. Here comes Kenton Cook working through the lap traffic here around the outside of the TRG machine. Todd Hetherington driving that car. Cook continues in hot pursuit of Andrew Davis for the final podium position. Pit lane set to open in 6 seconds. And you don't have to be the leader to get first dibs. So that pit window should be open now. And anyone who has not come in yet on this lap, they can take advantage if they so choose. That was valuable for the 47 car yesterday. They won't use that strategy today. And in the meantime, Marcelli fends off the challenge. And here comes Jesbray.
Yeah, Marcelli's backing up here a little bit. Last couple of laps, just as we were singing his praises, it looked like the handling has gone away from him a little bit. Just to see who chooses what strategy. We typically see the NOLA Sport entry sometimes try and get Matt Travis in early. See if they choose to come in at the first opportunity, which would be this next lap. Oh, that was tight. Sure if there was a brush there, whether Jason had to take evasive action, and that allows Jesbray the run. Also allows Colin Mullen to have a run here. Mullen's still the leader in the silver class from John Miller. Has that lead by about 3 seconds right now. You can see that BMW in the background there from Bimmerworld. Who will blink first? We expect the Pro-Am combinations, but there's a bigger delta between the driver's speed. The pros will stay in the car a little bit longer. Again, it's designated. Your pro has to start this one. Race 2, here comes Gt4. Big run on the inside with the Toyota.
Fantastic move to the inside. Does that open the door for Colin Mullen to follow him through in the Mercedes? Big lock up there, but he gets it wound down in time.
Yeah, that was surprising. These cars do have ABS, but either way, on that damp part of the racetrack, enough to lock up those Pirelli P0s a little bit. Then he roughs up Jason Hart.
Saw some body work. I think that's the Mercedes emblem. Got knocked off the front of that Conquest car. It's usually there in silver.
Yeah, they're cheap.
And now it's gone. Oh, that was close stuff. But it's fun to see 3 different classes, but it's all set by driver rankings. The car spec is the same. So if you're an AM class driver and your team and you are on it, you could drive to the front. That's what John Gt4's done.
Yeah, very cool. He'll be loving this. I mean, what a way to go out on a championship winning season with a performance like this.
Couple of pit callers here in the early going. Number 1 to mention, Toby Grahovic giving way to Stephen McAleer. You must remain stationary for 98 seconds. And Classic BMW Fast Track Racing, they made that switch.
99.4, so didn't have a great switch yesterday, and let's call that one mediocre. I'd give it a B.
But keeps them safe from running afoul of the regulations. Drive-through penalty for coming in under, with the exception of each team is given a 1-second joker you can use once per weekend.
Yeah, the tire squeal now. But there'll be some tire pressure adjustments going on after this first stint.
Final race of the season in Pirelli GT4 America for the starting drivers. Their final stint of the year coming to a close. Kenton Cook has caught Andrew Davis. The fight is on for 3rd.
Thought about it, didn't he? You see that little twitch there? He thought about plowing it down to the inside through 13. Now he's going to try and set up Andrew through 2 and 14, pick up the draft, but now he's going to be on the damp part of the racetrack potentially, unless Andrew takes that immediately.
Change that philosophy of going defensive a little bit, knowing you're now braking
exactly
on the wet side of the track. Cook goes to the outside. Does he get that extra grip? Is the extra friction available? He's late on the brakes.
He's going to give it to him, and I think Andrew knew if he fought it out any further, he'd risk contact by the time you get down to the apex with both cars turning. So just solid decision there by both drivers. Big day, big weekend in store for Andrew Davis's teammate, of course. Jason Bell wants to get a big result in this race, but he's got a GTA race a little bit later in the afternoon. He's very much in contention for the GTA GT4 championship. He and Sean Quinlan very tight in the points.
Conquest Racing in pit lane. Colin Mullen will be giving that Mercedes over to Mackay Stevens, overall winners in the last 3 Pirelli GT4 America races. Also saw the Dexter Racing car running inside the top 5 in the silver class. Great pit stop from them. The minimum time, 98 seconds. They were 17 thousandths over. Nearly perfect.
That's pretty sweet. That's where you want to be, or certainly a lot lower than that if you have that 1-second joker to play with. This is the stage of the year, as we said yesterday. The teams have really got that pit stop delta fine-tuned with their software and execution of that. So rare to see a bad one at this stage of the season.
That Toyota Supra, that's Matt Forbush driving, the Forbush Performance car. 1 lap down, not part of this mix here, and he makes the call to pit lane now.
See that pit entry there right off the turn 13 apex, just head straight. Halfway through this pit window. Probably get another couple of laps in here for the leaders. They want to maximize that time for the pros.
It tends to be the strategy on the Sunday races. Win by regulation, the lower rated driver using FIA driver ratings must start the race. Also qualified for this race, or sorry, must go second in the race, excuse me. The pro starts the race, the higher rated driver here in race 2, and we tend to see them go as deep as possible to maximize their pace.
Yesterday's silver winners, Colin Mullen has turned it over to Mackay Stevens. Nice solid pit stop there, 98.4, so just 4/10 outside the minimum. I think they may have used up their joker yesterday.
That does ring a bell. Yeah. That is that car, missing the Mercedes emblem at the front, but I don't think that's going to slow it down a whole lot. Perhaps a bit of damage to the grille after light contact with the NOLA Sport car of Jason Hart. Report is this is the leader amongst those that have already pitted. They were towards the back half of the top 10 at the beginning of the sequence, but they found Mackay Stevens some clean track time, and these silver class lineups, typically there's not much difference in pace between the two drivers, and that gives you some flexibility in the strategy. Get the car out on clean track. Mackay Stevens now can just go out and concentrate on laying down fast laps.
Yeah, they seem really evenly matched. I've been kind of noting how they compare each weekend. They're typically within a tenth or two of each other, Colin Mull and Mackay.
That's the Dexter Racing car. They dropped out of the race yesterday. There was a incident. This is just ahead of John Jesbray, the blue and gray Aston we were talking about. As Marcelli heads to pit lane, Pompelli also a little bit early. Kind of surprising to see that, but quickly the Dexter story. Contact to the rear of the car yesterday pushed the exhaust actually into the cockpit, and there was an issue with the CO2 levels in that cockpit, and they ultimately parked the car early, but repairs were made. They've already made their pit stop. Interesting, with a couple of minutes still on the board here, in time to go run at least another lap, to see so many of these Pro-Am front runners making the call now, Cal.
Yeah, it wasn't squeaky tight, because sometimes if you only got about 10-second margin, it's like if you have a quick spin or something goes awry on the racetrack, suddenly you can run afoul of that, and that would be a drive-through penalty after you then did your service as well. So here at Indy, that is massive. It's 53-second pit lane delta, as we call it, the time loss between coming down pit lane and staying out. Here's that NOLA Sport team. What a season they have put together. 3 in a row to clinch the championship, including a win here yesterday.
And after coming so close each of the last 2 seasons, very cathartic to break through and clinch nice and early, take the drama out of it entirely. Going back to Sebring 2 weeks ago.
Essentially, with the pit lane delta, what they allow is 45 seconds to do this driver change, do any tire pressure adjustments. Here comes the leader. We haven't seen much of him today. He's taken off from everyone.
Yeah, sprinted away at the start. Valentin Haseclo had never been on U.S. soil until this week. He's taken to it nicely. The reigning and recently clinched champion of the French GT4 Championship. He won the GT4 European Series GT4 title, Silver Cup title last year.
Super rapid. I think he learned a lot yesterday in terms of tire management as well. Very strong through the first 2/3 of that stint. Tapered off a little bit at the end, so that was a learning curve for him, I feel.
Pit stop underway. The crews can check and bleed air pressure in the tires if they so choose, but that's about all you can do unless one of the tires has a puncture.
Third different driver alongside Paul Terry this season. Started with Brandon Davis. Owen Trickler ran the Sebring weekend, and then this young man who's been so impressive. Can they come through for a win? A lot of pressure on Paul Terry's shoulders right now.
Owen Trickler also, I have to say, was really impressive that weekend. He got plugged in at Sebring. He showed very, very well, and this team seems to have turned a corner in their performance. That's a bit of a hot pit entry for John Jesbray. Kevin Conway set to finish off the season for Smooge Racing. They've already clinched the AM championship for the year.
The only slight mistake he's made all day. Hasn't put a wheel wrong. Just a beautiful drive. He'll be so pumped for that one. Just really giving everyone and showcasing how quickly that young man can get around this racetrack.
I have to believe you're right. This WR Racing Aston leaving the pits to the left of the screen that Valentin Haseclo started. Paul Terry takes over, inherits a sizable lead. There is some wheel damage after that contact. This is Sean Quinlan taking over on Tom Dyer. We wondered about that. Does that make you nervous?
Yeah, certainly that wheel rim damage will make you nervous, but they've survived. Gary Rubio, I used to race against Gary in Indy Lights many moons ago. He's now part of that Stephen Cameron operation. Great to have so much experience in that camp along with Stephen himself.
Most of the pit stops were right where you'd expect them to be. Looks like the strategy did pay off some for Conquest Racing. They've leapfrogged up a couple of spots. Mackay Stevens exits ahead of Matt Travis, who has replaced Jason Hart. And Chris Gumprecht in the car that Kyle Marcelli started right behind them.
Yeah, so there has been a change over there. They're pretty close in proximity on the racetrack, but you're right, there has certainly been a change of track position there. Travis will try and dig deep, see if he can grab another win, but it's going to be tough. Little twitch there as he turns through turn 6A onto that Holman Boulevard.
Pit window closed at the 25-minute mark. We'll let everyone come around one more time to reset the order. Here's Gumprecht looking to the inside of Chandler Hull, and Kevin Conway looking to the outside of Gumprecht.
Everyone looks good, no penalties. I don't see any in terms of being too shy on that minimum stop time, so just charge forward. We see a move by Mackay Stevens on Derek DeBoer, who's now aboard that TRG Racing Porsche Cayman.
About to have his hands full with Matt Travis. That is a fight for the Pro-Am class. DeBoer and Travis both in the Pro-Am class. Kenton Cook giving way to Brian Putt. And we'll see what Brian could do. Let's get an update on this team from Amanda.
Well, I talked to Brian before he got in this car, and I can't wait to talk to Kenton Cook after this stint. But my goodness, he put on a clinic yesterday, put on one here again today. Well, Brian said he hopes to maintain position, and he hopes to leave here today second in the points. But more importantly, he hopes to have fun. This is the last race of the year for this team, and Brian's plans next year, he's going to race in this class again, as well as pick up a car to field one in the GT America Series as well.
Great to hear that. GT America continues to grow. We'll see those cars on track a bit later on this afternoon. 22 minutes remain in the Pirelli Gt4 America season in 2021. Brian Putt running second on the road, giving chase to another Aston driven now by Paul Terry. The gap at the line was 14 seconds. Tom Capizzi runs third in the car that John Capestre Dubet started. Then Mackay Stevens fourth, Derek DeBoer, Matt Travis fifth and sixth. And here we have that fight. So Travis is through on DeBoer. Chandler Hull working around DeBoer as well. That's the BMW to the left of the screen. Makes the pass down Holman Boulevard. DeBoer slots in line right behind there. And behind them, the leader in the AM class right here, Kevin Conway.
Yeah, Alan Miller having a really strong day here. Chandler's certainly had a very busy season. A lot of European events have taken place. He's just really trying to stay busy, learn his craft, various championships, different categories that he's competed in this year.
He and John Miller were racing at the Hungaroring 2 weekends ago. That's why they weren't at Sebring. This is Kenny Murillo slotting to the inside of the AM class leader, Kevin Conway. Murillo now third in silver. Chandler Hull is his quarry in that class. Just a couple of cars up the road. That's actually the next car up the road, the BMW. And the leader in silver, Mackay Stevens, Conquest Racing.
What a great shot that is with the camera coming on the front straightaway here at the Speedway. Really close up against that wall. Murillo just trying to defend a little bit against that Supra. Racetrack pretty much dry on line. Good competitive lap times right now. But he's making the moves, which is tough.
Jason Bell driving the car Andrew Davis started. That was the blue Aston at the front of the picture. I guess there's two blue Astons, but the lighter blue. Then we got the light blue Mercedes in the middle. And then the heart of racing car, Gray Newell, behind the wheel.
What a weekend they had at Watkins Glen. Runner-up finish, and then breaking through on day two for their first win together. He and Ian James in the heart of racing team. Spectacular stuff. Gray just coming into this season with no real racing experience, just a lot of test time, and got a great mentor there in Ian James and a great team underneath him as well.
Oh, three wide down Holman Boulevard. DeBoer backs out of it. Tim Barber around the outside. Wisely, DeBoer lets this fight for fourth in silver move past him. Tim Barber has it. It is Warren Dexter driving the 062 Aston Martin right behind, who's trying to take fourth away.
Yeah, that looked to be a little bit ugly at one point. I wondered if Dexter was going to get it woed down before everyone turned into that corner, but nice control there to keep it clean. Just great battles throughout this Sprint X format. Ryan, we've been spoiled this year for just great racing.
Talked to the class manager, Jack Baldwin, this morning, and sounds like car counts should be about the same for next year, if not some more growth, and really good strength in those driver lineups as well. We've talked about it before, Calvin. You look at the pros on the pro side of these Pro-Am lineups and you throw the silvers into that mix as well. There's some big-time star power in this series as Matt Travis makes the move on Tom Capizzi. That is for third in Pro-Am.
Third in Pro-Am, so Terry leads by 15 seconds over Brian Putt. Looking at their last lap times, Terry was a little bit quicker than Putt, so he looks pretty solid up front. Third in Pro-Am is now Matt Travis, who's running lap times a lot quicker, but they're a long ways down the road. Travis is about 25 seconds back of Paul Terry right now with 18 minutes to go. So he'll get his head down. It could be close by the end of this.
Chandler Hull wants to go, and he wants to go now. He's running in the silver class, and he can see his closest pursuer in silver closing that gap seemingly corner by corner. That's Kenny Murillo in the orange and black Murillo Racing Mercedes just behind. Around the outside, Chandler Hull working on Tom Capizzi into turn number 7. They're still side by side at the apex. Looks like Hull will make the move stick.
Yeah, did that nicely. Just ran as wide as he possibly could there through turn 7 without getting into the grass. So that means you're giving as much space to that car on the inside to make it stick without contact.
Kenny Murillo, incisive in his own right, gets to the inside. That cutting move nets him another position in the overall running order, and it means there is no one between Kenny Murillo and Chandler Hull. Second and third in silver. That is 6th and 7th overall.
We did get clarification from the steward since yesterday. We were talking about maybe out of bounds in terms of track limits yesterday for some of the moves, and we talked about here at Indy, they talked about having the inside wheels at least touching part of the curves. That's only in play in turns 1, 7, and 12. Everywhere else is just having 2 tires touch, not the other side of the race car. So that gives you a little bit more freedom through corners like turn 10 and 11.
Yeah, that was a talking point in turn 10 yesterday. A couple of drivers using a lot of that extra pavement inside of those curves, and with that clarification, we now know that is fair game. Checking in on Brian Putt once again, who is continuing the pursuit of Paul Terry. He's not made much in the way of inroads, was a 10th faster that last time by, but trails by 15 seconds at the moment. This is a look at the Conquest Racing team. Colin Mullen on the left of the screen started that Mercedes-AMG Gt4. Mackay Stevens driving it now, running some very fast laps, about 3 seconds or 2.5 seconds faster than the Pro-Am cars ahead of him. They are looking for a 4th consecutive overall win to close out the season.
Yeah, but I think equally importantly, they want another class win. It's just been a dominant performance, and I think they could have been pretty much unbeatable if they'd done the whole championship season, but came on board late and immediately showcased their speed with a 4th and a podium run at their first round of the championship. Next weekend, following race weekend, they had a pair of runner-up finishes, and since that time, haven't been beaten.
It's been a great season for the Eric Bachelard-led team. Has to be special for him to taste victory here. He entered cars at the Indianapolis 500 for many, many years, made 2 Indy 500 starts himself, Eric Bachelard. Here's Paul Terry, the overall leader in the WR Racing car. His co-driver new for this weekend, Valentin Haseclo, is with Amanda.
Well, he took the pole position this morning on his very first trip here to America. And Valentin, when you look at the performance here today, how have you taken to this track so quickly?
To be fair, the track is not that difficult, and it became my job to be a racing driver this year, so it's part of the job. And I went on the simulator a little bit, and yeah, it was okay.
For Americans, the racetrack here is on hallowed grounds for motorsports. For you, what would it be to take this win back home?
It's a dream come true because I've never been to America in general before, and Indianapolis means a lot for every people who loves motorsport, so a win here would be amazing.
Valentin echoing a lot of the sentiment I've heard walking throughout the paddock. So many international teams on the grounds here this week in Calvin as part of the 8-hour. International drivers are nothing new to the championship, but a lot of people who took this chance to come race this weekend, whatever the series might be, because this is Indianapolis.
Yeah, we have so many iconic venues on our calendar, including Sebring, which was our last visit, of course. But to come to Indy is special. If you come from the States even if you're in a championship contention or not, you mark that on the calendar. You'd love to come here and get a victory and kiss the Yard of Bricks. So iconic Yard of Bricks, the pagoda, just the whole feel and ambiance when you come through that tunnel here and just see the magnitude of this venue is simply something you'll never forget. And if you can get that victory, it is really a special, special day in your career, whatever level you ultimately end up in.
14 minutes to go. This is not a class battle, but it is for second overall. Brian Putt in the B Sport Racing Aston, white and blue. He's at the front of this little train, and it's Mackay Stevens now making the move to the inside silver with the red racing stripe down the side. That'll make Colin Mullen a happy guy. His co-driver, what a partnership they've formed, is through second now on the road and off chasing the overall leader, Paul Terry.
And I think with Brian Putt, he's thinking about the big game. They're trying to secure that second position in the championship chase, which they took that position yesterday, but by a slender 3 points. And really that 119 bump and run there that he had earlier with Tom Dyer is really means that Sean Quinlan is on the back foot here a little bit. Well down the order, 10th in the Pro-Am class, so it's going to be a struggle for him with just 13 minutes on the board to really make any hay from this point forward. So if Brian Putt can just lock in here, just focus forward and bring it home, that'll be a big championship season for them.
Kenny Murillo going defensive. He's past Chandler Hull. That is important because it's second in the silver class. Hull's trying to get it back, however. That pass was just made on the previous lap, and Hull not going quietly into the night.
No, Hull's looking really good. We haven't seen a lot of him through this season, but he shows up here at the end and running really fast lap times and doing a great job aboard that Bimmerwell BMW.
These two in silver are important to keep an eye on as well. It's Warren Dexter leading Tim Barber. They've been locked together in some order. It's swapped a couple of times, it appears, between these two. Right now, Dexter has the edge over Barber. They're running 4th and 5th in silver, 8th and 9th overall, and making some ground up on those ahead of them.
Barber and company are second in the points, so Tim has to be careful. Think of the big picture as they run right now. That would lock in second in the points right now in that silver class, so he doesn't want to put too much on the line here with the 11 car of McAleer a few positions back.
Dexter goes defensive there in the braking zone for turn 1. Barber has no recourse but to follow. Turns 1, 2, and 3. That is who they are chasing for the final podium spot in the class. Chance to stand on the podium rostrum at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Chandler Hull is in that position at the moment.
See, Magel there has been carving his way through the field. Chandler Hull just getting through some slower traffic there. That was not a pass for position.
There is McAleer at the back of the picture, right behind the smooth racing car. Lap traffic here for several of these silver class front runners to deal with. Ty Isaac making his pro racing debut this weekend. He had Jason Harward in the car with him yesterday. It's Sean Whalen driving today. That's the Zalus Aston that now splits the Warren Dexter car from the Tim Barber car.
You see Ty just trying to not get run over here. Doesn't have a ton of experience, so great to see him out here in GT4 competition. He runs their GT3 program. But fierce competitor himself over the years. Used to run in the Red Bull Crashed Ice Championship, a speed skater, ran for the U.S. national team in the World Cup. Massive crowds, supposedly 180,000 crowd was the premier crowd that they had at one of those events, believe it or not. Just amazing support.
Great athlete, loves speed any way he can find it, whether it's on the ice track or on the racetrack here. And doing a great job running that Zalus team all season long, and now getting a chance to hop behind the wheel of their GT4 spec Aston Martin that debuted in the GT America Championship back in Watkins Glen.
Cars that we're locked into right now, the 22 and the 11 of McAleer, Barber. We focus forward a little bit for a moment. They're battling for position in the championship, but again, the 22 car of Barber. And Carrillo is still looking strong to hold on to that second place.
Looks like we have seen Warren Dexter close in on Chandler Hull. That fight for third in silver should be on here soon. That's the BMW leading the Aston towards the back of the picture. This train of 5 cars, it's the 4th and 5th cars in line. Brian Putt has been caught here by Matt Travis. That's for 2nd and 3rd in Pro-Am, and sitting right in the middle of those two battles is Kenny Murillo, the provisional runner-up in the silver class.
Just amazing job by Matt Travis. He's just relentless, just keeps pushing forward. Yesterday, I think they put the result more on Jason Hart's shoulders, but as they said in the post-race interview with Amanda, one day it's Matt who's getting the victory for us, another day it's Jason. Today it could be Matt Travis. Long way to go, though. Obviously with Terry with that massive lead up front, but this is a battle right now for second in Pro-Am with he and Brian Putt as they come on in the front stretch.
And for third in silver, that's right here coming through the shot. The inside Warren Dexter, he's got the position now down the front straightaway on Chandler Hull. We'll see if he can stay there. Hull runs him down close to the pit wall. The horsepower of the BMW accelerates him back in front, and now that brings Barber back into the picture. This is third, fourth, and fifth in silver.
Yeah, I'm not sure Chandler realized that the Aston was that close, or maybe he did, but either way, he leaned on him there just for a moment. Didn't drive him all the way to the fence, but certainly didn't want to give him any racing room, maybe just trying to keep him there on the wet side of the racetrack.
Kenny Murillo around the outside of Brian Putt. Travis has gone through, so Travis now runs in second in Pro-Am. The Murillo pass was not for class position. Murillo runs in the silver class, but he's got these three trying to chase him down. These are his silver class competitors. Chandler Hull in the BMW, Warren Dexter in the Aston, and the other BMW, the blue and pink one, that's Tim Barber.
Yeah, so for Brian Putt, we're seeing him being passed here quite a few positions overall, but the next driver in Pro-Am is James Clay, and he's quite a way back. He's like, let me work it out, he's about 17 seconds back of Brian Putt. So Brian Putt just wants to find some fresh air here for the final 7 minutes of this race.
Not just the final 7 of the race, but the final 7 minutes of the season. Already race 2 of the weekend. Pirelli Gt4 America. First race was yesterday. There's a big move up the inside. Putt with Hull on the attack. Dexter trying to make it 3 wide. Here comes Barber, and it looks like Noah's Ark. They go 2 by 2 through turns 12 and 13.
Oh, this is a bit messy. You don't want to get touched right here. High speed as you come on that front stretch.
And McAleer's in the picture. He's also in the silver class. That's the BMW that's made his way by Putt, the third BMW in this train.
Mackler's not going to give Barber any favors here. He knows there's an outside chance of pipping them for second in the points. See if there's any argy-bargy here in the last few laps of this championship season.
The order as we see it: Hull, Dexter, then you get to Barber and McAleer. 3 BMWs in an Aston. Right now holding positions 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the silver class category.
Got Dexter there. They're had a great year. It's a really neat little team. Don't have a ton of resources, but boy, are they effective with what they do with the race car.
And they've been so helpful to several other teams, WR Racing being one. It's the team that's out in front right now, and the 3R Povolato Racing team that's not here this weekend due to crash damage sustained at Sebring. But those guys really credited the Dexters for getting them up to speed on short notice.
The fun racetrack, it just keeps coming at you. So many opportunities to try and make a move.
Let's go ahead down to the pit lane. Brian Putt's teammate Kenton Cook is with Amanda.
Well, as we talked yesterday, Kenton had just put on an absolute clinic, did the same thing here today, bringing in that Aston Martin on your driver change in the runner-up position. But Kenton, what happens? What takes over when you get behind the wheel of a race car?
Just kind of do the best we can. I mean, honestly, it's hard to put into words what this means. I mean, for us to come to where we are 2 years later, starting this program with Brian Putt and all these guys that we have here. So I'm pretty stoked to see what we've accomplished and to have such an awesome brand that we're driving, Aston Martin. And it's been a dream come true these last 2 years, and it makes me proud to be in this situation. And it's been good.
What's the future like for V-Sport Racing?
We're doing it again next year. I think Brian's going to run a couple GT America races. We're going to continue doing Sprint X, and hopefully we go for a championship next year. And who knows, if Matt Travis and Jason Hart are in this thing, hopefully we can take a fight to them.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Should note at the front of this, Mackay Stevens has been quick. He just ran his car's fastest lap of the race and took 2 seconds out of Paul Terry. It's down to 4.4 seconds. This is Terry. That is Stevens. Still 4 minutes to go. Haven't done the math as to how many laps that will equate to, but Stevens is coming, no question about that.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, I mean, we see this team always want those overall victories. How much do you put on the line? What is Pompelli doing? He's got a monster lead in the Pro-Am class, like 14 seconds over Matt Travis. I can't imagine you're going to want to throw that away in terms of just fighting for the overall victory. So Mackay Stevens has the momentum. He's charging forward. Very fast race car. Pompelli just cutting his way through traffic right there. Still will be a great day for him if he can pick up the class win.
It would be huge. They've not won yet this season in class. They've had 3 podiums, a best finish of 2nd. It was back at Sonoma for WR Racing. Paul Terry, driving Brandon Davis at the time. An overall win would be sweet, but just to taste victory after the season they've had, they entered this weekend 7th in points, not really in the championship picture in Pro-Am. It would be a great boost of momentum to head into the offseason. And with 3 minutes left, oh no.
That's McAleer.
Yep.
Was there contact? We talked about potential argy-bargy here late in the going. Pulls a Speedway turn 1.
Replay headed your way. Contact, yes.
Yeah, just forcing the issue there. No one wants to give it up. And then you can see, sometimes when you're turning those front wheels, they poke outside of the fender well, and if they get hit in the wrong direction, it immediately breaks the toe link on the suspension.
The result of that is Warren Dexter is now up to 3rd in silver. Hull is now 4th. And not sure where Barber is. He slipped back quite a bit. He now runs 10th overall and actually is 5th in the silver class, but has a few out-of-class cars between himself and the Dexter and Hull battle. This is the overall lead. Up for grabs. Mackay Stevens takes a peek to the inside.
That was tight. And poking my nose in there.
Oh, but he does it here in turn 10 instead and gets the move made with 2 minutes remaining. Conquest Racing, Mackay Stevens, Colin Mullen, smiles all around as they take the overall lead and now are just 2 minutes away from closing out this season with 4 consecutive overall wins.
Just amazing performance, just really well managed there. I thought he was getting a bit too aggressive. Turn 10's nice because it allows you that little bit of real estate to the inside there if you need to pinch it a little bit, if someone turns down on you. So just perfectly judged. The team is really firing on all cylinders. Drivers are doing an amazing job. Just give them a big boost going into the off-season and setting up for next year.
Just 1 lap left in the 2021 campaign, and we're looking at 2 programs that will head to the off-season with a huge amount of momentum behind them. Big-time wind in their sails. There goes the Dexter car across the line holding 3rd in the silver class. And Chandler Holt right behind, certainly in the picture. Yep.
Yeah, gets in too deep there, so trying to distract the competitor in front of him, just missed his braking point a little bit, and then the ABS kicks in, front end goes numb, can't get the car turned.
Should note that Race Control has noted the contact between Barber and McAleer, and my suspicion is that will be dealt with after the race, but both of those cars out of podium contention and out of any contention in the case of McAleer.
Yeah, just 2 fierce competitors going at it, putting all on the line. They just kind of locked horns there. I'd be surprised if it's really laid on anyone's shoulders in terms of the result and the car out of action.
Well, this program only got started in the middle of the summer at Road America. Colin Mullen and Mackay Stevens weren't even sure they were going to be the full season drivers for John Farrow and Eric Bachelard, but they've got those positions on lockdown with a great finish to this 2021 campaign. There's already an effort in the works to have this duo back together next year in the silver class and potentially race for a championship. We'll deal with that next year. Now, out of turn 14 for the final time into the Yard of Bricks, Conquest Racing, Colin Mullen and Mackay Stevens sweep the weekend at Indianapolis, and the Pro-Am victory for the first time this season to WR Racing, Paul Terry and his new teammate Valentin Haseclo. Here's the AM class leader looking for a sweep of the weekend. If they can pull it off, it would be their 2nd this year. The AM champions win yet again. Kevin Conway, John Jesbray, and Smooge Racing win in the AM category.
And also displayed a ton of pace there as young Jesbray looks on. What a day for him. You look at his fast lap time, only a couple of tenths off the best in this field. future is bright for that young man.
And still one more race for them to go out and try and win this weekend. They are contesting the GT4 class in Sunday's Indianapolis 8-hour. We'll see them racing alongside Jack Hawksworth, and they've got some big guns in to help them out, with Bill Riley calling the strategy and the Riley Motorsports crew set to do the pit work during that 8-hour enduro.
Well, he certainly got the ultimate benchmark there in Jack. He's one of the fastest GT drivers in North America, so it'll be fun to see those two guys along with Kevin Conway work together this weekend.
Coming across the line, a few others taking the checkered flag. That was Chris Wilson, 4th in the AM class. A few others further back. Your podiums, Conquest Racing, Mackay Stevens, winner overall and in silver. 2nd in silver, Kenny Murillo. 3rd to Warren Dexter. In Pro-Am, Terry gets the win. Matt Travis comes home 2nd. And Brian Putt, 8th overall, 3rd in class for B Sport Racing. Get down to the M class where Smooch Racing was victorious. You got to go all the way back from 7th to 17th to find the next car in the class. Paul Sparta, Al Carter, and Random Vandals. 2nd in that category, Ty Isaac gets a podium in his pro racing debut along with Sean Whalen for Zalus Motorsports. Provisional results pending a review for some of the contact we saw late in the race, Calvin.
Yeah, again, a wonderful race. This racetrack just races great, even with the damp racetrack, and kind of a one-lane racetrack at certain points, still allowed some passing to happen. You look at that move that Kenton Cook made in that opening stint, just tremendous to give B Sport Racing that runner-up finish in the championship. Just a solid day for them. And just so much to look forward to, even though the season is coming to an end. There's so many great combinations, talking about coming back next year, so let the battle resume in 2022.
Further down the order, some that had somewhat less luck in the race today. It's a tough taste to take with you into the off-season. Number of drivers further down the order than you would have expected, most notably Bill Oberlin, James Walker. But this is the car of the weekend in Pirelli GT4 America. This beautiful silver livery on the Mercedes-AMG GT4, showing the scars of battle. As we talked about, just that light contact at the end of the first stint between Colin Mullen and Jason Hart, but it didn't slow them down at all. Mackay Stevens, impressive to throw up that car's fastest lap of the race so deep into the run. It was with only a handful of minutes to go. Goes to show the strength of the car as well as the tires over the course of 60 minutes.
Yeah, very much so. Been super impressed with the Pirelli P0s in terms of that performance and lap time that's achievable late in these 1-hour races. So great job by them, great job by the teams really getting these platforms dialed in. Some new cars on the way over the next 24 months, so exciting times ahead.
And you saw on the back of the uniform, we've called it out a few times this season, the Farrow logo. That is John Farrow, the businessman behind this operation, who wanted to give a chance to up-and-coming talents that had the skill but not the opportunity and not the financial backing, and had a shootout, and that's where these two drivers came from, with a little help from Jeremy Shaw, it must be said, of the Team USA Scholarship, who kind of helped John identify some young up-and-comers. Here's a young up-and-comer to the left of the screen getting congratulated by Kevin Conway. Big future ahead of John Jesbray, who is now just 2 seasons into his racing career, and he's already a champion.
Yeah, incredible stuff, and I love the chemistry between these two. Kevin is really not afraid to put all of the accolades on young Jesbray's shoulders in terms of how great he believes he is. And Kevin's just been rock solid as well. Just a great team.
Yeah, they've been an exciting addition to the championship. Great to have the Supra on the grid as well. And it's worth noting there's some great contingencies in place from TRD. A championship for a Supra team within this championship this year, there was some big prize money available for them, so I'm sure that will make them extra happy now that it's all said and done. Let's go down to Victory Lane and Amanda.
Well, Mackay Stevens, yesterday it was Colin that took the checkered flag here at Indianapolis. Today you got to see out of the windshield the checker flags here at their Brickyard. How beautiful is that?
A dream come true, by far. I mean, it's quite a bit of an emotional moment. However, it's a great pleasure to be able to share with a tremendous team. again, I can't thank Colin enough for helping just set me up in a perfect position to just go and chase the victory. But then John Farrow, Eric Bachelard, everybody that just really owns us in, believes in us, and we try to return the favor.
Well, Colin, 4 wins in a row. Why are you guys going to be the team to beat next season?
I mean, it's just, again, testament to the work this team has put in. Mackay drove one heck of a race there to get us the overall win. I mean, it was just amazing. It was a struggle through that first stint, but this Mercedes has such great long run pace on these Pirelli tires. That's what really helped us pay off there today. So I mean, just amazing. Huge thank you to John Farrow, Eric Bachelard, Ian Willis. I mean, so many people we can really name to help thank for getting this program rolling, and the success that we've had so far is just certainly a testament to that. So, I mean, just super grateful, and it's just incredible to have 4 overall wins in a row here. It's just amazing.
Ends the season with a sweep here at Indianapolis.
And if that duo can be retained, they will be a force to be reckoned with looking ahead to next season. And Ian Willis probably deserves a lot of the credit, too. That's a great engineering mind to have at your disposal.
Yeah, he's one of the best. So just a solid group. I mean, no weak link, but to do it so consistently, I don't care how strong your organization is, how great the drivers are, to be running in this field and to win in not dominant fashion. He had to work hard for it, but to do it with that consistency over the last few weekends is pretty impressive.
Let's go back down to Amanda. More happy winners here in Victory Lane at Indy.
Well, Paul Terry picks up his first win of the season right here in Indianapolis. And Paul, when you bring it home for the win, how much sweeter is that?
Well, I mean, the team has given us a great car all year. I just got news for everybody. Frenchie can drive. So it was easy for me. That was easy. Thank you.
Well, Valentin, you
job,
said you get to
Valentin.
take this one back to France, and it was just an honor to win on American soil at Indianapolis. Where are you going to keep this trophy?
It's just a very good win, as he said. It's all about teamwork. He did a good job as well to bring it home, and I'm pretty happy with this result.
Not a bad first trip to the U.S. Congratulations, guys.
You.
I think they'll take it. Great win to close out the season for WR Racing. Paul Terry, Valentin Haseklo. We talked about all the Drivers' Championships being wrapped up prior to the weekend. The Manufacturers' Championship was still up for grabs, and from what I've been told, Porsche was able to prevail in a season-long battle with BMW, courtesy of Matt Travis's 4th place result in the race here today. Let's go ahead and get one more Victory Lane interview now with Amanda.
Well, Kevin, you guys win at every track here this season, winning here in Indy. Could you imagine a more perfect season for yourself?
No, we really can't. And to think where we started as a first-year team, the first year with the GR Super GT4 for Toyota in the SRO series. And, we keep talking about John, but, man, this kid has stepped up and improved so much every week and put in an incredible first stint, made my job easy to just go out and cruise, and I didn't really have to do anything. But to sweep Indy is incredible, but to be able to win our 9th race out of 14 races in the season and to be able to do this for everybody that's involved. And, this kid's family makes it all happen for us, along with some other great partners and Fuzi and Cooper Natural Resources and Jezbray Group as a whole. And just really thankful they can't be here right now, but want to, Alex, I know you're watching at home. Want to wish you were here. We miss you. And Carrie, they're celebrating your birthday this weekend, so happy birthday, Carrie. And we're just really excited to be here in Victory Lane in Indianapolis.
Well, John, as you guys close out this season on an incredible high, what can we anticipate from you guys next year?
Well, I really hope we can carry over the momentum, but like Kevin was saying, the car was just all year was incredible. We won at every racetrack, and to sweep Indy was something special. I just want to say happy birthday to my mom and to everybody at home. So thanks to GG, CNR, Toyota, and my grandmas for making this happen. So it's just a dream come true.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a family affair, that's for sure, and I made reference to the TRD contingency program. They announced it before the start of the season. $7,500 for a Drivers' Championship if you win one in this championship in a Supra. They got that job done. Highlights for the final race of the season, Cal. Valentin Haseklo started on pole. He got the heck out of Dodge because there was a gunfight behind him.
It really was. 4-5 wide there as they came across the yard of bricks, and then big fight there down into turn 1. Tom Dyer aboard that Stephen Cameron Racing BMW slides in a second. Kenton Cook there, massive drive from the back of the field there, carving his way through the field, but Jezbray made him work for it. Big moment here. Tom Dyer a little bit wide. JCD goes through.
So many good battles up at the front of the Pro-Am field in that opening stint. This is Bill Oberlin looking for a way past Tom Dyer, and it didn't happen cleanly.
No, they just didn't give each other enough racing room, but Gt4 was unbelievable here, fighting out with a championship-winning team from NOLA Sport.
Around the pro component of that Pro-Am lineup in Jason Hart, that was Colin Mullen locking him up into turn 12, trying to pull up alongside as well on his drive through the field that helped set up Mackay Stevens' eventual run to the checkers.
Oh, a little nudge there. There you see the Mercedes emblem go flying. Didn't slow that car down any.
Late in the race, Mackay Stevens around Paul Terry for the overall lead of the race and a 4th consecutive overall win for Conquest Racing West. Mackay Stevens and Colin Mullen closing out the season on a high note. John Gt4 right there celebrates as Kevin Conway brings the Smooch Racing Supra home with a hard-fought win, a second one here this weekend. A look at the skyline here in Indianapolis as we close out the 2021 Pirelli GT4 America season. For everyone involved, thanks so much for joining us. So long from Indy.